dollars worth of silver at a time. Now, you probably have more, well, I know you must have more contact with Eric Sprott than I do personally, but is he, I think of him as a silver vigilante, like a Clint Eastwood character going down to the silver pit, and then just firing away at these paper silver bugs. But do you get the sense that he's genuinely has kind of a burning in his belly to go after these paper bugs?
Well, he's never told me that, but he really talks about the banking system initially and how unsafe it is and how safe it is to own the metals. And that's really your only asset class that you can hold outside the banking system where you're not exposed to these banking problems that exist. So that's number one. Number two, yes, he sees the silver, similar to I see it, as probably the best investment over the next 10 years. And then he goes through his numbers, which are very similar to mine, and his reasons why, which, again, are similar. And I really do believe that he put out this shelf filing just to have the ammunition ready to fire away. There's $1.2 billion left on that shelf filing. So, at the time, I forget the price, but he could have bought roughly 50 million ounces of silver. He's only bought 10 million so far. So I believe that any time silver gets in the under 30 range, he's probably going to take a shot at it, meaning he's going to buy more physical. So I see it as very bullish, as I said, and I think that we are going to win.
All right, let's talk about that other precious metal, gold, for a second, because there's some very interesting cross-currents going on and some international dialogue happening based on what we've been saying on this show for quite some time. That is to say that a lot of the European central bank gold is not held in these European central banks. It's held in U.S. Federal Reserve Bank in New York as one of the main repositories for German gold, for example. So now they're starting to freak out in Germany that, wait, we want our gold back. And we see this all over the world. Venezuela repatriating gold. We see repatriation of gold now being talked about in Switzerland. What's this trend all about, David Morgan? Are these countries finally waking up to the fact that if they don't have the physical in their vaults, then they don't have it?
Well, exactly, and I think you were instrumental in getting people aware of that, and now they're following through with action. It's all this gold's not money. I mean, Bernanke testified. I think Ron Paul asked him about gold, and he said, well, it's a tradition. It's not money. Regardless, banks know what it is. In fact, if you go back in history not that long ago, I'm going back roughly 10, 12 years, the Bank of International Settlements, the Bankers Bank, you actually used to be able to be a stockholder in that. Now that's totally private again. They used to account for every asset in gold only. In other words, they didn't care what member bank. Again, this is the highest bank that exists, at least to my knowledge, unless there's some black bank somewhere that no one knows about. Bank of International Settlements accounted for everyone in gold only. So they know what it is, and they know how to account for it, and they know what it means. And these countries do as well, and they're scared. And again, I think you were instrumental in getting that started. And now these banks are getting worried, and they say, if something really takes place, we don't want our gold sitting in the New York Fed. I was in New York, a couple of years ago, had toured the Fed, took some photographs, did a little video for my members, but I'm on the street walking on the sidewalk, and as I'm walking right past the Fed there, I'm thinking to myself, I'm walking over who knows how much percentage of the world's gold right now, and how many people are even aware of it, and how many people realize what a small, surface area this is relative to the whole planet. Gold is rare. Gold is scarce. Gold is valuable.
Right. Now, you mentioned the BIS, the Bank of International Settlements. They also came out with a report last year as a recurring, ongoing look at the positions in the derivatives markets, because they try to keep track of these markets. And that's where the data came out originally about J.P. Morgan's 3 billion ounce of short silver. They've got a balance sheet that looks like Mount Vesuvius the day before it blows up. If silver gets over 50, J.P. Morgan stock is worth zero. That's what my work tells me. What do you see on that front, David Morgan?
Okay, well, not to pick an argument, Max. First of all, everything you said I agree with. Secondly, I mean, they're totally insolvent. They're totally broke right now. I mean, they are absolutely insolvent. So how do you blow up a bank that's totally blowing itself up already? It's just no one seems to realize it other than those that follow work like yours. But what will happen if it goes above 50? or 100 or whatever. In my thinking, it'll just be another too big to fail. They'll print up more funny money and try to cover it over. But I don't think I think that's very relevant of what eventually will happen. I think more importantly is it doesn't have to get to that price, I think, for enough people to wake up and the whole financial system to crumble in other areas. I mean, this whole idea that you can have that much of a short position is ludicrous. I'm actually okay with hedging. I mean, all of my coin dealer, bullion dealer friends need to hedge in the market because it's a margin business. So they've got to hedge off their daily activity, and a mine might hedge off a year or so, but to hedge off like 5 or 6 years of total global supply, and when you see what they have in the public domain as far as how much silver they have, it's pathetically small. I mean, this is just ridiculous. And again, I go back to the authorities. I mean, where are these people? You know, it's obvious what's going on, and yet they've been looking at this thing for years now and have yet to make a statement. And then this happens just recently on the last Smashdown. Again, no comment. I mean, I think the people have had it. The people that are awake and aware have certainly had it, and it just frustrates me.
David Morgan, we're out of time, but we'll speak to you again soon. Thanks so much for being on the Keiser Report.
Thank you, Max. It was a pleasure to be with you.
All right, and that's going to do it for this edition of the Keiser Report with me, Max Keiser, and Stacey Herbert. I want to thank my guest, David Morgan from silver-investor.com. He is